Hello everyone, I'm Gander. Welcome back to NASA 2021 North American Speedrunner Assembly. Digitally, here, hanging out. Good to be with you all this weekend. Good to be back talking to everybody in the chat, watching the runs, doing this hosting bit. A lot of games on the schedule coming up. The next one is going to be Spyro. We're still getting through the setup for that. And then we have a Super Mario Brothers run by Ryko Rider coming up after that. And then later on, there's going to be Hitman 2016, Singles 2, and then Fire Emblem Three Houses by Quo a little bit. So pretty fun lineup coming onward in the next hour or so. A couple hours, rather. And this event that you're watching right now is raising money for Save the Children, which is an organization that helps children with nutrition, shelter, and medicine throughout the world. Small amount of money, $10 even, can provide nutrient-rich peanut paste to children for as much as 10 days. And if you think about that, that's $1 a day for nutrition for a kid. It's pretty good. The money also goes to things like shelter as well. On the high end, amounts of $1,000 go towards things like constructing schools and helping provide education to kids. And I think the thing that I like the most about the organization, I learned a lot about it last year. I did some more reading about it again this year, is that they work in so many places around the world. And I like the idea that they're helping kids and families not have to worry about these stresses, because kids are little. They want to just be on the Switch and play Fortnite. Fortnite's a great game, not even memeing. And they should be able to focus on that stuff and not have to worry about all these logistical issues, like food, shelter, education. And this organization helps them out. It lets kids be kids, and I think that's a cool thing at the end of the day. Let the adults handle that other stuff, and we can help contribute to that, which is freaking awesome. And I want to note that coming up in the next game, talking about donations, talking about money and things like that, the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, there is a donation incentive for an any percent exhibition to be added onto it. So if you like Spyro, or if you like Sable, if you like saving kids, if you like NASA, or you just like being told what to do, maybe put some money towards that. And another thing, NASA Marathon, the channel that you're watching this on right now, does more than just the North American Speedrunner Assembly that they've been doing annually. There are other speedruns and speedrun marathons that get performed on this channel here as well. There's a Uncharted-a-thon, I think, is one of the next upcoming ones. I believe there's one Gamer House Marathon, which that's a great name for a marathon, by the way. Whoever named that, they need a pay raise, or they need a date with Horned Anime, maybe both, because that is some good naming. And there's other community events that happen as well, like an action RPG marathon comes around every now and again, and a lot of the people involved in NASA get along in the greater speedrunning community and get involved in a lot of events. So if you like what NASA does, follow them on social media and check it out when they retweet some of the other events they have going on throughout the year, because there is more entertainment to be had, and we welcome having more people in the community and hanging out. It's a nice little digital village to visit on the internet, so to speak. And we embrace the memery to a pretty good amount, I believe, as evidenced by the previous run that we had, the Undertale run. with all the memery and goodness in it. It's sick first try boss fights too. That one was so good. I'm not over it. It just happened. I really like it. And hopefully we get a lot more of that going forward. And a couple other games that are going to be out there on the schedule that I think are going to be ones to look out for. There is a run of Toho Embodiment of Scarlet Devil by F. Georgie, which is going to be on tomorrow. There's a Yakuza Kiwami 2 and Fable by Two Worlds. If you haven't seen the Two Worlds run, goodness, you gotta watch those. They are a great time. I'm seeing we have Sathura on there. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That's going to be a exciting one. I haven't seen a run of that one before, so that's going to be a first one for me. The good old Dark Souls making return to a marathon setting. That one's going to be run by Alibaba. Mega Man X7 on the schedule as well. It's going to be by Peter Afro. That's real late on Saturday. Although later tonight, though, there's a Chrono Trigger run going to be in there for any of you Chrono Trigger fans. I know there's a lot of them out there. And let's take a look at Sunday while we're looking at the schedule too. Coming up on Sunday, there was a run that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. There's Inside All Deaths by SableDragonRook, who is also the runner of this game that we are about to watch, the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. So let's go ahead and introduce you to that game and introduce you to that runner.
Okay, hello everybody. Whoops, I turned on my Google by saying that. Hi everybody, I'm SableDragonRook, you can call me Sable, and this is going to be Spyro the Dragon. I have with me as host Gander. Hello Gander.
Hello Sable, good to be hosting, good to be watching you play some Spyro again. I'm in for a good time.
I hope that everybody will enjoy this run. It is definitely a cheeky one of my favorites among the Spyro runs, but I'm not gonna hold us up here. If everything is good to go, then I will get us moving, assuming that everybody is ready. So, pretend that didn't exist. Timing will start when I select the new game here, so we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go. And yes, we do have Mort down in the bottom left-hand corner. He is a blue-tongued skink, which is a type of lizard. He always hangs out with me on stream, so he's going to be joining us here as well. For good luck, shall we say. So as we get going here, this is the 80 Dragons category of Spyro. There are 80 dragons in the game. So if you couldn't guess, we will be gathering all of them. Why are the dragons trapped in crystal? Well, if we would have watched that little cutscene at the beginning, we would have learned that the dragons were doing a TV interview. Some dragons in the background, I think, were playing soccer with a sheep. Or sheep. But they were doing a TV interview, and they were talking about Nasty Nork, who is this guy kind of hanging around in the background, you know. And they call him ugly, which, that's not a very nice thing to say, right? And understandably, he gets a little frustrated that they call him ugly, and he uses his magical crystal staff to turn all of them into crystal. And it didn't hit Spyro for, you know, reasons. And so now we have to go and rescue all of our friends. So as we go along here, our primary goal, right, is these dragons. Every level is going to have at least one dragon, with the exception of Nasty Nork himself. He is a boss, and so his level doesn't have a dragon. But there is still a dragon tied to him. However, we're not going to fight him. Instead, we are going to be glitching the game and kind of getting around the requirement to fight him, as well as getting around a bunch of other requirements, if we're being honest. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer. For now, let's just focus on the dragons. Focus on kind of understanding the basics. The first thing that you might notice, right, is that there's gems all over the English, I can speak it. All over the ground is what I'm trying to say. So, this is a collectathon, which is kind of a cheeky name for this specific genre of game where your whole goal is just to collect all of the things in the game. There's dragons, there's eggs, there's gems. That's just what you do, right? The gems on the ground mean nothing. In this run, they mean absolutely nothing. Because we don't need them. Normally, absolutely you need them. They're actually super important. But for this run, because it's a glitched category, we are going to be circumventing all of the needs that we would have for these gems. But if you're unfamiliar with Spyro, red gems are worth 1, green gems are worth 2, blue is 5, yellow is 10, and the elusive purple gem is 25. So that's what those mean, and that's why they're all sorts of different colors. Nils up here is going to leave a hitbox in the air when he leaves, very conveniently. Let me see if I can just... Whoa! Okay, well, we'll proxy instead, but I'll take it. Boop. One way or another, we ended up at the end of the level. Not exactly what I intended, but I'll take it. So what was supposed to happen, right, was, as I was talking about, there's a little hitbox in the air, and I was just gonna kind of stand on it and glide over to that platform, but apparently the game decided that was kind of boring. Yeah, that's why they call it NASA, because we just got yeeted into space. Now, nobody really goes into Dark Hollow, which is the level that we're entering now. It's very rarely in runs, because there's basically nothing here. If you're trying to get gems, it doesn't have very many gems. If you're trying to get dragons, the dragons are kind of out of the way. So, a lot of people don't ever go into this room of the homeworld, because there's not much here. But we do need the dragons from it, and the boss of this world, Toasty, is going to be locked behind a dragon head that will only open once we have used a special kind of portal, called a return home portal, to leave a level. There's one in every level, but, you know, we're speedrunners. We don't do that when we can just leave the level from the start menu. So we will need to go through that portal in this level, and the reason that we choose this level is just because there's a dragon that happens to be right next to that portal, so it's very convenient. And the other thing that you should be aware of is that Artisan's World is the hub world that we're in right now, from which all of these other levels are attached. Here's this return home portal. And if we want to go to different hub worlds later, we're going to have to talk to the Balloonist. The Balloonist is this real friendly guy. He's not the same guy, even though he looks like the same guy. And he has certain requirements. So he'll say, you know, in the case of artisans, Spyro, I'm not gonna take you to the next world until you free 10 dragons because I'm worried about the dragons or whatever. And you know, sometimes he'll be like, you need so many gems, you need so many eggs, whatever, before I'll move you on. So in this case, we need 10 dragons. That's super simple because we have to get all the dragons anyway. But later on, those requirements are going to be a little bit troublesome, and so we will just not do them. For now, though, taking care of Toasty. I feel bad that we don't get to see Toasty, because he's chilling over here. He's that cool-looking thing, actually. Like a Grim Reaper with a pumpkin on his head, but actually he's just 3 sheep in a trench coat. Alright, so we've got our 16 dragons. That's every dragon in this first world. So onward we go. Here's the Balloonist. Now take note of this balloon, right? It takes me from artisans, I'm going to the next world. I can't move while I'm in this balloon, because this is like a cutscene, kind of. Keep that in mind, because later I am going to need to be able to move in the balloon, and we're going to need to do some tricky stuff in order to make that happen. Alright, onward. So we are now in Peacekeepers, the second world of the game. And from this point on, we are no longer going to be progressing in chronological order. Because, chronological order is kind of boring. So the requirement to leave this world and to move on to the next world is 1200 gems. As you can see, I'm at 106. I am nowhere near that, and I have no plans to ever be near that. So this is the world in which this glitch takes place. However, we do still need to pick up the dragons, so it's not like we can just skip the entire thing. If you want to see me skip the entire thing, then we have a donation incentive for an any % exhibition at the end of this run that I believe we are not quite at yet. Maybe we have just barely reached it.
We actually have just made the incentive.
Very nice. Very nice.
$20 donation by me, actually. Donation comment being PogChamp, Dragon Cam, PogChamp, more Spyro, PogChamp.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So, in that case, you will get to see how we absolutely skip completely everything. Seriously, we finish any % with like 2 or 3% game completion. We skip a lot. So we'll see that after this run. Gonna go ahead and pick up this extra life in case things go south. What am I talking about? It's gonna be first try everything. It's gonna be fine. So this next world that we are entering is going to be the first where we have egg thieves. Egg thieves are going to be a very important part of how we do progress a little bit later. Because there's going to be a world later on where the requirement from the Balloonist is 5 dragon eggs. And so, sure, we could skip that requirement the same way that we're going to skip these gem requirements, which I haven't really talked about yet. Be patient. We'll get there. But the eggs are basically in our way. We're going to walk right past them. And the glitch that we're going to do is fairly risky and very time-consuming if you should fail. So, we just get the eggs as intended. If you would like to be especially cheeky and glitch your way around them, you can definitely do that if you want. Now those egg thieves, right? They're very speedy, and if I'm not very careful, they'll run away from me, and then things get kind of gross kind of fast. They have a little cutscene that will play of them like teleporting the egg to you when you flame them. But this game has some kind of weird obsession with what direction you're moving. And if I move downward when I hit a thief, I won't get that cutscene. It's the same way that we can skip Nestor, the very first dragon, when he's supposed to be unskippable. Just move downward while you trigger the scene, and it just doesn't play anymore. For reasons. So we'll be picking up more of those eggs as we go, and as they are convenient. Such as this one, because he's right next to a dragon. This is the unpolished 1.0 version of the game, by the way, which is why you see me bonking on everything. There's like way bigger invisible walls and stuff in this version. Anytime it says confronting up here, that's going to be a boss. There's one boss per world, so Dr. Shimp is the boss. We're not really going to get to see him either. Because dragons are checkpoints, right? They save your progress. So the dragons are basically always before the boss, so that you can save your progress. As if this were like Dark Souls or something where you actually have a chance of dying against the boss. That's unlikely. Is Spyro the Dark Souls of collectathons? So as we head back to Peacekeepers, let me start. I know that I've been talking a lot because I am just absolutely a jabbermouth, but let me explain how this glitch is going to work, because it takes a decent amount of time. So, when you free a dragon, a fairy pops out. That fairy is there to save your progress. It's there if you want to watch the dragon again, because Toys for Bob did a great job and these dragons look great. But that fairy, you know, you talk to her to do any of those things, to save or whatever, and that brings up a text box. We want to try to put that text box into memory. We want to store it so that when we walk away from the fairy, it stays with us. And because this is the 1.0 version, we can actually do that by opening the fairy's text box, gliding away from the fairy, and doing some very specific buttony stuff. Whoop! And so I am going to store a fairy text box because when you talk to a fairy, the game thinks that you're controlling Spyro. Because of course it does. In what context would the player, like, not be controlling Spyro, right, when you're walking up to a dragon? That's important because we established earlier, remember, that you can't move inside the balloon that goes between worlds. But if I hop into that balloon and I use that stored fairy text box to talk to the fairy, suddenly the game thinks that I can control Spyro, and that means that I can move. So if I can move in the balloon, I can go out of bounds by letting the balloon lift me up and then, like, hopping out of bounds. And I want to do that because out of bounds in this world is a developer's tool. The developer's tool, like, obviously they don't want to have to fulfill the balloon requirements every time they want to test something, so they've just got a balloon that just goes anywhere, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to get 10 dragons or 6,000 gems or whatever. So we're going to go out of bounds, we're going to go into that developer's tool, and we're going to go to the worlds that have the requirements that are too time consuming for us to do. Basically is how that works. So first, let's grab some fairy storage. So I'll bring up her text box and end up all the way over here. So as you can see, I'm not near the fairy anymore. Bam, I can still talk to her. That means that I have that menu stored. Gosnold here is going to be like, buddy, you need 1,200 gems, and you don't have that, so I can't take you anywhere. And I'm going to be like, okay, fine, well, take me to Artisans, because that's where I'm allowed to go. Just kidding. Talk to the fairy. So now I can control Spyro, and we'll come out of the balloon. And we're trying, hopefully, to land in this little box. And we did. So this is the dev tool. This is the free balloon that doesn't require anything. With that, I am going to go straight to the final world of the game. Flashing lights warning if that bothers you. The game is currently trying to load 2 worlds at once. It's trying to load Artisans, which I asked it to go to first, and Nasty's World, which I asked the dev balloon to take me to. Plays the starting cutscene for the game because it's super confused. But you can see we're in Artisans now. So it did do what I asked. It took me to Artisans. But now I'm like, okay, remember that I asked you to take me to Nork's World? Can you do that now? And if I quit and come back into the game, it will. And in that way we skip straight to the end of the game. But nothing is loaded. Which is why we can do something like this.
Nasty's ancient history now.
You're in
So,
Nasty's
what's in
world
there?
now,
I
Spyro.
believe this
And you
is
are the
Nasty's
dragon that was
treasure
defeated.
hoard. But
Bring
the
him
gate
on.
will only
I'm
open
ready.
if you have found
Reach the
everything in the
exit in
Dragon
each
Kingdom.
of Nasty's
Come
lands.
back when you
Then
have reached
you can challenge the
100%.
Nork himself.
I'm pretty sure that that was how you're supposed to play the game. Pretty sure that that was intended. So why did that happen, right? Well, I have 360 gems, and the requirement to enter Nasty's World, which is the world we're in, the very final world of the game, is 6,000 gems. Clearly we don't have that, so the game is like, what are you doing here? And it doesn't load right. Because it's not ready, you know? And so, for example, the level that I'm in now is hidden underneath a dragon head the same way that Toasty was in the very first world. Which is why I'm in this now instead of later. Because that dragon head wasn't there and I'm allowed to be in here right now. When we come back out, you'll see that the world has caught up. And the dragon head will now be here, and this level will be inaccessible. Bonk again, because 1.0. So yeah, the game is caught up now. It's like, okay, fine. I'll give you permission to be here. And so now you'll see this now has this dragon head with the closed mouth. I can no longer get into that level, which is why we did it first. But one of those dragons that I got was locked behind completing the fight with Nasty Nork. However, because, once again, the game didn't expect me to be there, it's like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand whether you've already beaten Nasty Nork. So I'm just gonna put this dragon here, right? And so both dragons are there. So not only do we get 2 dragons at once, which is super dope as far as a speedrun is concerned, but we avoid having to fight Nasty Nork. Because his dragon, the only reason that we would fight him, is loaded. However, we did meet the any percent incentive, so we will get to fight Nasty Nork after this run. Because this run does not require that you beat the final boss. Any percent does.
Speaking of donation incentives, I do want to note that the next run coming up, the Super Mario Bros. Showcase by Ryko Rider, has a donation incentive for using harder settings, and I feel like Ryko could handle that and make it for a good time for you. So keep that in mind when you folks throw your money at the screen, because I know you enjoy having a purpose for doing it, right?
Do it. Let's meet that one too. We are now going to do that exact same Balloonist skip again, because the requirements to move from Peacekeepers to Magic Crafters, the next world chronologically, is 1200 gems, and obviously, again, we don't have that. This is just Spyro 1. It's just the 80 dragons that you can collect in Spyro 1. All 3 Spyro games do come on the same disc though, so if you don't have Reignited, it's really great value for your money, and is a wonderful, wonderful game for you to try out if you're new to Spyro. Alright, so we're going out of bounds again. Hopefully, we are landing in this box. Very nice. 2 for 2. And flashing lights warning again. If that bothers you, look away for just a couple seconds. Sometimes it flashes a ton, sometimes it doesn't really flash at all. There's no way to know until... Whoa! Spyro got real turned around there. So once again, we play the intro cutscene to the game. It has now fulfilled the part where I asked it to take me to Artisan, so if I quit and come back, it will take me to Magic Crafters like I asked. And so in that way, we have skipped the 6,000 gem requirement to go to Nasty's World, and the 1,200 gem requirement to go to Magic Crafters. That means we don't need to worry about gems for the entire run. Any gems that we get are literally just because I happened to run into them. And just like Nasty's World, this world isn't loaded. Like, the enemies aren't here, the little moving platforms and everything aren't here. But by the time we come out of this level, once again it will be sorted out the way that it should be. But yeah, if you have not played Spyro at all, or if you have only played the original Spyro, highly recommend picking up this version. It is amazing. Toys for Bob did an excellent, excellent job. It controls really well. It's just like really pleasant to play. All of the dragons are redesigned, and like just their designs are worth the price of the entire thing. Plus, on one disc, excuse you, on one disc you get all 3 Spyro games, so it's quite nice. Mort's got an itchy nose, it looks like, rubbing his nose against the door. Yes, very faithful to the originals is a great way to describe it. It's just a so good reskin as far as like fidelity to the originals. Everything is the same. It just feels better and looks better. Got another thief here. We'll try to hit him. Ah! I didn't quite hit him while moving downward, which is why we got that little cutscene there. It was close. Is Crash more like they took some creative liberties kind of remake? I've only ever played the like very first new Crash. And I can't quite remember even like what that felt like. I love how like, so Spyro does that little loop to give time for the level to load, and every now and then he'll just go like to space because the level has like so many assets or whatever that it still takes a while to load. And I'm playing this on a PS5. So it should like be loading faster, but there's a lot of stuff that the engine has to think about. Yeah, I'm flexing on everybody with the PS5. Truth be told, Like, I got really lucky, and I did not realize at the time how lucky I got, because I stayed up until like 2 or 3 in the morning and did the whole thing that everybody did, right? Where you sit on your website of choice, whatever it is, Target, PlayStation, whatever, and just kept refreshing and trying to make it through the cart. And it worked, and I was like, oh, that's great. And that was the end of that. I didn't realize that they would be gone, like, still. You know, I figured that by this point maybe production would have caught up. So I definitely did not realize at the time just how lucky we were to get one. And it makes zero difference, right? Like, for Spyro, it makes zero difference because we time on in-game time. So the fact that I have shorter loads makes, like, zero difference except for quality of life. Alright, we made it through all those enemies before they even spawned, which is great. Alright, now taking a death here is going to be faster than gliding my way back over. It's going to teleport me to the last dragon that I freed, which happened to be right at the top of the supercharge, which is exactly what I want. Because I want to be able to supercharge up these steps a little bit. I did a bad job of it, but that doesn't matter. Alright, then whoop! Oh, this guy being sneaky. There we go. So we needed his eggs so that we could have 5 dragon eggs, because the requirement to leave the world that we're currently in is 5 dragon eggs. And like I said before, if you want to use that Balloonist skip to get around the 5 dragon egg thing, like, that's fine. You can do that. It's just the eggs are basically in your path anyway, so you might as well just, you know, go get them. You may also notice that my dragonfly, I'm pretty sure that's what those are called. My dragonfly, Sparks, is blue. He's my health bar, if you've never played Spyro before, so when he's yellow, I'm at full health. If I take 1 hit, he'll go to blue, then to green, and then he'll disappear. In 80 dragons, it's not, like, such a big deal if he disappears. It's a huge deal in, like, any percent, or any category where you have to gather gems. It's a huge deal because he picks up gems in a radius around you instead of having to walk over them yourself. But for 80 dragons, he's literally just my health, since we don't need gems. That being said, if I charge into or flame the little fodder animals that are around and are just so freaking cute, like, why did they make them that cute? Then they'll pop out butterflies, which Sparks will eat, and that will heal him. I'm doing that very strategically, because every 10th butterfly that we get will be an extra life butterfly. And so, usually when Sparks eats a butterfly, right, he goes 1 up. So if he was green, he'll turn blue. If he was gone, he'll go back to green. That sort of thing. An extra life butterfly, on the other hand, heals you completely. So if Sparks is gone, he'll go straight back to yellow. And we are now coming into Beastmaker's world, which is by far the hardest place in this whole game. I will unintentionally take a lot of damage here. And I'm trying to time it so that my extra life butterfly pops during this world when I probably need a heal. Pet the lizard? I would like to keep my fingers. Mort is lovely. Don't get me wrong. Mort is just like... Mort is like the friendliest, most wonderful little guy once he's outside. When he's in his log, like he is now, your fingers stand no chance. Like, that's his space. And he will, he'll give you a good old crunch right on the fingernail. I mean, it's fair, right? Like, if a giant just, like, stuck their hand through your window, you'd be like, what are you doing? Get out! Right? Ooh, I actually wanted that chicken. Come here, chicken! Chicken! Get your act together. Ah. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about a ton of damage. Like, it's just happening. Sacrifices must be made. Yeah, my fingers are the ones being sacrificed. Nobody has a problem when it's my fingers. Unfortunately, we don't have any flight levels in this run. There's one down this well in front of me. I'm really a sucker for the flights, because I'm an individual level runner as well. But flights only give gems, and we have already established that we don't need those, so... Misty is also the only level that we are going to leave before we got all the dragons. So if you probably noticed that it says, like, all dragons found in every level. Or at least I hope it has. It won't for Misty. So that's fine. That's expected. Because Misty is like a really weird shape. That makes it kind of, like, not favorable to backtrack. So it's better to enter and then exit. And then enter again. Buddy. Green Sparks is fine. Green Sparks is fine. Got poked right in the butt with a bowl. Alright, so we're gonna leave with 2 dragons left in that level, and we are actually gonna finish on Misty. We're gonna finish the run, the final dragon, in the single hardest room in the game, because that's good routing for you. Put the hardest thing right at the end. Y'all may remember Treetops, if you ever played this casually. It's the level that nobody can figure out, and that's fair. It's a big maze. It utilizes supercharges, which is, you know, Spyro, we've seen them already. Spyro charges along arrows on the ground, and it speeds him up, and that allows him to jump further than he would normally be able to. You're supposed to pick up a supercharge and, like, jump across a bunch of, like, winding platforms and pathways in order to get out to Jed, the dragon that we're gonna get to. But I ain't gonna do that, because that takes time, and I'm a speedrunner. So instead what I'm gonna do is abuse the fact that in this game, if Spyro's horns hook onto something, he can slow down, but he'll actually still keep his supercharge. And so I'm gonna pick up this supercharge here, tap that building just a little bit to make this, to slow Spyro down enough that he can make that tight left turn, and we hop right from the beginning of the puzzle to the end. Normally you'd be going way too fast to jump down there like that, but because we caught Spyro's horn a little bit, it slowed him down enough that we could make that turn. Exactly. Going slow is in fact slower than not going slow. Who would have thunk it? Did you know that in a speedrun, like, you should go fast? I think that's kind of like a hidden trick. The Metalhead is the boss of this world. He's another enemy we're not really going to see because, as always, the dragon is in front of him. But already, we're at 61 dragons. We have one world left because we already did Nasty's world earlier on. And you might not have even noticed, but I did finally get my extra life butterfly. He was hanging out over there. The reason he was just kind of hanging out was because when that monkey kicked his other monkey friend, it actually hit a chicken for me, and it popped the extra life butterfly. So that is the end of Beastmakers.
Are you ready to go?
The requirement to leave this world was 50 dragons. Super simple since we've gotten every dragon so far except for the 2 that we intentionally left in Misty. And so now we're on to Dreamweavers, the final world for the sake of this run. It's not actually, but you know. We did them out of order. So the next trick that's kind of on my mind is going to be in Haunted Towers. We have obviously just done a supercharged trick in Treetops. But, as I'm sure you're aware, if you charge in the direction of the arrows, right, you get to supercharge. We're going to actually try to kind of trick the game into letting me charge backwards against the arrows and still get and keep my supercharge. And in doing that, I'm going to basically skip an entire level. I'm going to go straight from the beginning to the end. And Dreamweaver's worlds are insanely long. They're really, really long compared to the rest of the game, so we're genuinely saving like 5 or 6 minutes by doing that supercharge backwards. Assuming that I do it. So let's not count our Spyros before they hatch. The other thing you may have noticed is that Spyro can't flame armor because it's metal. But a fairy kiss, super magical, and suddenly, bam, we got super spicy fire. We can flame anything. The reason that that matters is only because there's a big metal door up here you can't even see. It's right here. And we needed to flame through it before our fairy kiss expired. Expiration date on a fairy kiss is about 30 seconds. Alright, let's see if we can pick up this supercharge. Going backwards. We did! It was kind of spookily wide there for a minute, but it worked out. And so just like that, we were at the very end of the level, suddenly. Alright, so as I head into, what's the name of it? Dark Passage? Is that the name of this level? Big long level. Anyway, as I head into there, it's basically just a straight line, get some dragons, so if you have anything interesting going on in your life, Gander, I would love to hear about it.
Being honest, that could be a long list, but let me tell you about what's going on with coming up. Like I mentioned, we do have a bid incentive for the harder difficulty for the Super Mario Bros. Showcase by Ryko Ryder, which is coming up next. And we are collecting money to help Save the Children organization that helps provide shelter, nutrition, and medical care to children in lots of places all over the world. I would rather they be gaming than dealing with issues like that, and our money can help that exact situation happen.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, there's still a ton of wonderful donation incentives coming up. Mine has already been met, so let's show that same kind of energy to the other runners. See what we can accomplish. Oh, I got straight up launched by a big boy. This level is a great example of what I mean by Dreamweaver's worlds are really long. It's not necessarily complicated, it's actually basically a straight line. It's just total foot distance is very long. Ooh, nice shot, dude. Sniped me right out of the air. Also at 69 dragons. Now 70, I hope. Yes. We're in the final stretch here, folks. Now the boss of this world, Jacques, actually has 2 dragons, which is unusual as far as just the typical way that this game is set up. Usually each boss only has 1 dragon. I guess because Jacques' level is kind of convoluted, they give you 2. Maybe Jacques just, you know, feels special. Maybe he felt that 1 dragon wasn't enough to contain his grandeur, I don't know. But we got 2 dragons left in Jacques, and then instead of going to Nasty's world like you normally would, and like you're intended to, we will in fact go back to Misty and finish the run in the hardest room of the game. Totally forgot about Lofty Castle, by the way. I was talking about Jacques. Gotta do this level first. Nobody ever remembers this level. It'll only take me like 5 seconds, don't worry about it. I'm gonna phase through a wall in this level, so that's exciting. Also, these like platypus, I don't even know what these are. The little floating chicken guys are really cute if you take a look at them for a second, and I kind of want one as a pet. Alright, so just as before, we do have to wait for these fairies, unfortunately. Even previously when I rescued the fairies, like, that was a jump that Spyro could make, but there's an invisible wall until you free the fairies, so we're kind of speed locked by them in this level. But as before, we're going to be using the supercharge, charge along with the arrows, but I'm going to phase through this wall on my right because it doesn't actually exist. The wall is a lie. And we'll get all the way over here to this final dragon because nothing else matters. Bonk. Speaking of bonks, one thing I haven't brought up, and we're already basically at the end of the run, but I haven't brought it up. You'll often see me run Spyro's face into a wall. Or when we're going upstairs, you'll see me run his face into the stairs instead of just hopping up them like any sane person. And the reason for that, that's called bonking. And the reason for that is because when Spyro bonks his face on something, he can jump again before he touches the ground. So it's faster, as you can see here, to bonk than it is to hop those stairs individually. So poor Spyro keeps just shoving his nose into the brick walls. He's a dragon, I'm sure it's fine. Or, you know, I won't make that jump, that's also fine. Oh, boy. Spyro is insulted at how many times I've run his face into walls. He doesn't want to listen anymore. The green sparks shouldn't actually be a problem It's kind of a problem because we're going into the death room. We're going into that really hard room at the end of the game, but I'm gonna actually pick this guy up, not gonna lie. Blue sparks should be fine. $77 dragons. If I could get my act together, we would have 78 dragons right now. I did this 80 dragons run literally like 2 hours ago at another marathon, and I forgot this dragon. And I forgot him now, too. Boy. I'm so sorry, Zakomo. You deserve so much better. It's just, like, he's off on his own, and you have absolutely no reason to go over to that side of the level. That's why, if I were running my splits, I have a specific split that just says, go get him, because he's off in the middle of nowhere. Okay, here you go, buddy. Right, now that we've got him, we can go back to Misty Bog. And timing is gonna stop once I free the 80th dragon and pull up my menu, as soon as we can see that we have gotten 80 dragons. So I'll call that out, but we should get ready on the timer, because that will hopefully be fairly soon. Hopefully I don't die in this room. Alright, one dragon left. He's over here. Hardest room of the game. There are so many enemies. I am absolutely going to get hit at least once. 1, 2. That's why I wanted blue sparks. Alright, get ready on the timer, because timing is gonna stop now. 21:12. I mean, super decent. The world record, my former world record used to be 20:36, and I just totally putzed around to show you all stuff, so I'm definitely happy with that, but in-game time is what matters, so I mean it's up on the top right-hand corner if you haven't located it. But we did, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did meet the any percent incentive, so I'm ready to go on that basically as soon as everybody else is. In the meantime, I guess I'm just gonna kinda putz around. Let's have some fun. Literally until you tell me to start any percent, so I can start at any time. And any percent is... Hey, an extra life butterfly. We really got 20 fodder in this run. Boy. Any percent is super short. Like, less than 10 minutes kind of short. So. Lots of fun. Very optimized. Alright, timer's at 0 again, so I'm assuming that I am good to actually start any percent. But thank you everybody for donating to make that happen. That was a donation incentive. And you can see, by the way, game total is 46% here with 80 dragons. I'm gonna actually exit level just for the sake of the any percent, but with any percent, unlike that 46%, we're basically gonna finish at like 2 or 3%. It's super, super low percent. We do almost nothing. It's fantastic. Alright, so let's get that going, assuming that everyone is ready on the timer. Timer is going to start at the exact same time as it did before, so I'll give you a countdown. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, everyone. Pretend that this is your first time meeting me. I'm SableDragonRook, you can call me Sable. So this is any percent. We talked before about how the story of this game is, you know, Nasty Nork turned all these dragons into crystal and all that stuff. The difference is, this time, sorry, dragons, you're mostly gonna stay in crystal. Because the only thing that we need to do is get back to that developer's tool. that we saw in the second world while we were doing 80 dragons. So we gotta get out of this world, artisans, as fast as possible. The balloonist requirement is 10 dragons, so I am gonna be getting the 10 fastest dragons that I can lay my little claws on. My little purple claws. And those happen to be roughly in the same order that we did them in 80 dragons. Anyway. Yeah, Mort is a mood, right? Just like sleeping without a care. Such a mood. Are his claws yellow? Oh, they kind of are, aren't they? They're not purple. Don't worry, I've only run this game for 3 years. I totally knew that. Alright, so we don't need all the dragons in this level because what's his face? Gildas, I think, is his name. It is kind of far away. He takes a while to charge too, and there are faster dragons that we could get. And so we're gonna do that instead. We will get to do the Nils proxy again, so maybe this time I once again will be launched up to the moon, or maybe I'll do it the way that you're actually supposed to do it. We'll see. So because we're seriously already like at the, as we're wrapping up this any percent run part of the run, as we're kind of wrapping this up, or starting to, if you're interested in Spyro the Dragon Remastered, Reignited, wonderful game, highly recommended. You can get it on PC, you can get it on PlayStation, I think it has an Xbox release, I'm not sure, and you can get it on Switch. So there's lots of stuff for lots of people. Hey, we did it! We're standing on nothing. If you are interested in speedrunning it, be aware that the categories that I'm running right now, any percent, straight any percent, as opposed to any percent no balloonist skip. Straight any percent and 80 dragons must be run on version 1.0 of the game. And in order to do that, you will need a copyright 2018 disc. You can't just go out and buy a disc from, like, Walmart, right? Because it'll be too recent. And it will start at 1.3. And so you won't be able to do these balloonist skip tricks. And what's even cooler is that on PC, the balloonist skip looks way different. So if this particular one doesn't really interest you, or you're intimidated by it, go check out the PC version. It's way different, and equally cool. So last time we got fairy storage off of Magnus, who is the one outside of Ice Cavern. This time we're going to get it off of Titan. That is much, much harder. So I might not get it on the first try, but we will definitely get it. And as before, we're going to be trying to put the fairy's text box into storage. We're going to store it in the game's memory so that I can use it later to gain control of Spyro once I'm in the balloon, so that I can go out of bounds and enter the developer's tool. That's the gist of this if you were not here previously. I actually did get it first try. Look at that. So yeah, we're all the way over here. Bam. Talk to the fairy. That's how that works. Thank you for shooting me in the face with a cannon. So as before, we don't have what we need in order to progress, so he's not going to let us progress, and I'm going to be like, okay, whatever, and then I'm going to gain control of Spyro. Out of bounds. And pray that I land in this box, because unlike 80 dragons, we could just permanently fail here. Alright. Flashing lights warning. Gonna be coming up here in just a minute. Okay. Right about here. Don't look if you're sensitive to flashing lights. Alright, so we're loading 2 worlds at once. Flashing lights are over. And with this, it has taken me to my first request, which was Artisans, and now I quit and come back in, and it takes me to my second request, which is the final world of the game. Yeah. Hi, Spyro. Hi, Spyro. Hi, Spyro. It's the anthem of Spyro practice runs. As before, we're not supposed to be here. This world is not loaded correctly, which is why we can access Nasty Nork. Because normally his portal is closed until you fulfill very specific requirements that are not just 6,000 gems. You have to do 6,000 gems, then you have to do other stuff like in the other worlds, all to open Nasty Nork's portal. Tempest, if your game has already updated on Xbox, you can turn off the internet, delete the game, and then eject the disc and put the disc back in, and it'll install the base version again. And so you can still do 1.0 that way. Just make sure to delete the game and not your save data. Poof! Alright, early Thieves. We got both of those guys basically as early as you can. That's kind of the ideal situation. And now, Nasty Nork's fight ends when we toast him right in the buttocks. Twice. It's definitely possible to do this chase in one cycle, but it has to be done very specifically. That jump is very important. And it's still going to be close, so we don't want to chase Nasty any more than we have to. Alright. The timing is going to stop the next time that I flame Nasty Nork. I will call that out. I am going to be very careful over here, because falling in the lava means we start completely over. And time. That was Spyro any %. It took, you know, less than 8 minutes, so it's short. I'm curious to see what our game completion percentage is. World record is a smidge under 3 hours. This is obviously going to be over because I was, again, just putzing around. But 309, that's still really, really close. And game total 6%, again, because I was putzing around and I got a bunch of gems that I didn't need to. But that was Spyro any %. Thank you so much, everybody, for helping us reach that donation incentive. It all goes to a wonderful cause. Gander, if you have any further information to share about Save the Children or about any upcoming donation incentives before we switch over, that'd be great.
Yeah, I just want to remind people that the money's going to help kids. In particular, even $1, helps going towards providing kids with treatment against things like pneumonia, which are just awful to deal with as adults. Imagine being a kid and doing kid things and getting pneumonia. Let's just not. Like it sounds a little flippant, but if we can put a few dollars towards keeping something like that from happening, I think it's a good thing.
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for having me, everybody. I appreciate the chance to be here. It's great to support charity with some cool little speed runs, and I hope y'all enjoyed. I will let you go so that we can move on to the next run. Let's get hyped for that.
Hello again, folks at NASA Marathon. I am Gander. We just finished up that run of the first Spyro game, played on the Spyro Reignited Trilogy game, which, has all the little compilation of them. We are moving on to a new game, new runner, and new host. We're bringing on Dark Fox to take over the hosting, so I can sit and do some stress-free watching a little bit of fun.
Yep. Hi, how's it going, stream? I'm Dark Fox. Thanks a lot, Gander, for that, and thanks to Sable for that awesome run. Coming up next, we've got Super Mario Brothers Level-Headed Showcase by Raikou Rider, so stay tuned for that. And I think, let me just check here where we are with donations, if there's anything new. I think that we will go ahead and do a marbles game if you guys are down for that, chat. Let me just get us switched over in a sec here. All right, everyone. We've got marbles running, it looks like. So if you'd like to go ahead and hit !play, you can join in on this marbles race. I'm going to join in. And once, I'll give it about a minute here for everyone to join in, and then I'll get us started here. Alright. Looks like that's a good amount of people at this point. So let's give it a shot. Three, two, one. Here we go. Oh, George is in front, apparently. Oh, no, Quo's in front. Now Night Dragon. Oh, Night the Dragon, excuse me. Night the Dragon's pretty good lead going on there. George is right behind him. Oh. Kato or Shane taking the first place so far. Oh, everyone's getting stuck up right there on that little ledge. And we've got a split here. Let's see which side's going to go faster. Looks like right now Piccadilly Blue is in the lead. Yep. Piccadilly Blue's running away with it right now. Everyone else is way behind except for Dark Aries. Oh. Here we go through some little launch pads. Careful not to fall off there. There we have it. Your winner is Piccadilly Blue. Congrats. Way to go. I think I fell off the edge and died. That's a shame. All right. There we go. Piccadilly Blue. All right, give us just another couple of seconds here, and we'll get the next run set up. Just a quick reminder, everyone, that we do have an upcoming incentive for the next run. We've got a few more minutes before the run starts, so if you want to go ahead and make sure that Raikou has to play with harder settings, now's the time to get the money in. I think we're only about $40 away from meeting that requirement. And, randomizers plus harder settings is always a good time. So if that's something you want to see, make sure you get that in the next couple of minutes. And I did want to just give everyone a quick reminder that we are raising money for Save the Children. If you didn't know, Save the Children has worked worldwide for over 100 years in over 120 countries to give children a future. In that time, they've impacted the lives of over a billion children. In 2019 alone, they reached 144 million children through their comprehensive programming and emergency responses. Any amount of donation can go a long way when we're talking about Save the Children. So if you wanted to help us meet that upcoming incentive I mentioned, your $40 could cover healthcare, safe shelter, and legal services for a survivor of gender-based violence. Or if you wanted to go a little higher, even at $50, you can keep 10 out-of-school children from going hungry during the pandemic. So if that's something that you're interested in and you want to support that cause and also make Raikou miserable, you know, make sure you get your donations in. Alright, it does look like we have a donation of $40 from Anonymous towards that. So we will be having harder settings coming up in just a minute. Stay tuned.